My name's Gary Desjardins. I'm 70 years old, just had a birthday. And I've been an area resident all my life. Graduated in 1965 from Lemoore Falls High School. A few years after I got married, we moved to Livermore. We still reside over there. And I had two kids, a boy and a girl. The boy went to Northeastern, the girl went to New England College of Optometry. They're both doing very well. I worked 43.8 years in Androscoggin for International Paper Company and Verso. And when I retired, I was a machine tender on number 3, which unfortunately just shut down. I'm the 4th generation paper maker on my mother's side. And both sides came from Canada. So I have a lot of uncles and aunts and cousins that worked in the paper industry. I mean, a lot. I mean, it was like a family reunion when I first started in. But after the strike, things changed a lot. You know, in the community changed a lot after the strike. And you can see that because a lot of jobs went out of town and the businesses went down. Of course, Walmart didn't help like any place else. A lot of businesses have gone away, and it's very unfortunate because back in the 60s, this town was booming. All these storefronts were full. Friday night they had drawings and stuff like that. You know, if you went to different stores, you got tickets and stuff like that. And then towards the end of the evening, they would draw names and stuff like that. I mean, downtown was just packed with cars and stuff like that. It was, if I could go back in a time machine, put me in the middle of the 60s, I'd be one happy camper. But this is being what it is now. So I retired 7 years ago and got involved with Special Olympics in the area. And I'm now the area manager. And I have 160 kids and adults that we take care of. And it's very busy because we do 20 events a year. And the state likes us a lot because we don't go and get any money from them to do any of our programs. We raise our own funds. And what we are is we're a committee out of the AMVETS, a Special Olympics committee out of the AMVETS, and it's been a phenomenal success. The combination has really worked out well. We do bowling events for the kids, and then we do bowling events for the adults. After each event, they come down to the AMVETS, we feed them, give them their ribbons, and then we have 4 dances a year, and they all come. And that's something else. 160 of them plus all their aides, because we don't babysit them. They have to be, somebody has to be with them. I'll go through 40 large pizzas, have a popcorn machine there, a disc jockey, and Halloween is off the chart. It's awesome. But, and then we do spring games, winter games, summer games. We just did a yard sale, very successful. That's one of my main fundraisers, and I've got a golf tournament lined up at the end of the month, and that was sold out in June I got 80 players all lined up. That's a big fundraiser. Now, biggest one is in January before we go to Sugarloaf. That's our big fundraiser we have an auction. I'm the auctioneer. Last year I was up there for 4 hours giving stuff away. Whew. But that was the main fundraiser. That's about half I got a $20,000 budget I go through. And outside of that, I'm on the board of directors for the Historical Society, the Livermore Falls Historical Society. I'm the youngest guy in there, the 70-year-old guy that climbs the ladders and stuff, you know. They keep me pretty involved in that too, and I'm on the board of directors at the credit union. I've been for 10 years. And until recently, I was taking care of the town clock, but I finally gave that up, but I did that for 8 years. I was pretty busy with that. Every week, go up there and crank that thing up. And they finally said, it's probably a good idea we have a town employee doing that, insured, where you're not. Got to climb up a bunch of ladders. So I said, I said, I got to start thinking about somebody else doing this job. I did it for 8 years, year round, snowstorm, whatever. I was up in there. That clock, that bank building burnt down twice. Completely burnt down. Just a shell was left. The history of that clock is, I can't remember the gentleman's name, it was an optometrist that donated that clock. And it's kind of a different situation. The the housing where the clock is on the top of that bank. It's like a cupola type deal. You'll see when you come out, you can see it. That belongs to the town, but the clock, it belongs to the bank, excuse me, but the clock belongs to the town. And we had it rebuilt. Geez, well, that must have been 8 or 9 years ago. That's when I started taking it over. But yeah, but every time that thing burnt down and went back up. And when I first took over that clock, one of the faces in that clock, one of the lenses in that clock was bad shape. The others were still original, it was a bad shape. And the guy a friend of mine that redid the clock, he wanted to change that thing. And me and him put that glass up in there. And it was like 3 inches thick, a solid glass. Man, and he's like 10 years older than me. It was a bear getting that up in there from inside. It was all I had on that chain fall to get that up in there. I think another pound would have been a disaster, but we got it up in there. Then last winter, the clock kept on screwing up on me. I was losing time every now and then. I couldn't figure out what it was. The glass we put, the lens we put up wasn't glass. It was a lucite. That's right, it was lucite, and it was so cold it bulged out, and a needle got stuck on it. So he had to go. I couldn't figure it out. I thought it was in the mechanism itself. I tried different things. He figured it out. He had to go out and put spacers on the arms and bring the needles away from that. And everything's been fine since. And hardly loses any time, but you do make corrections. But community-wise, I'm still here. I've seen a lot of changes, for the better or for the worse. You know, I'd like to see some more development in this area, but it doesn't look good. But overall, on my end, as far as one thing about this community, and Jay included, it's probably one of the most generous communities in the state. When there is a benefit of something, they turn out phenomenal. And the support I've got with Special Olympics is off the chart. Really, it is. It really is. But it's a very, in hard times and stuff, they still get together. Somebody's hurting, they get together and they pull through. It's unbelievable. And I don't know if you know Don Simino. He's poor health. He's done a lot of stuff around here, and he'll tell you that time after time that this community, they rally when somebody's down. Yeah, it looks pretty like that mill right now is really running at. There's only 2 machines out of 5, so it's running on like 40% of what it used to be. And like that machine I was on years ago, that made paper like it was unbelievable. That one machine used to carry the whole mill through hard times. Publication Gloss, Reader's Digest, and Oprah, and National Geographic, and back in the heyday, that machine made some money. Yeah, it is a crying shame to see that thing down. It really is, because when that thing ran, it was like a clock. You had to break it down sometimes to do anything. It wouldn't break by itself. Talking about the sheet breaking off, or running bad paper and stuff like that. But it ran. That baby ran. I just went to see it last week. We got invited. I organized a get-together. The guys that started the machine and before the strike and stuff, have a get-together for them. And this mill manager came to that, and he invited us up to do a little tour there. And kind of strange to see that thing down. I don't know if you've ever seen a paper machine, but mine was 600 feet long, and the room was a quarter of a mile long. It's big. Yeah, you still run. Yeah, I worked all those years. I worked shift work, except for 1 year. I worked days all the time, but the rest was all shift work. But then we went on strike, and the year before we went on strike, the Rumford Mill up the river, they had gone on strike, and I said, I better learn another trade here, because it was going to happen. So I took up real estate. I had my broker's license when things hit here, and I waited out for like 6 months, and then I went and became a realtor, and I was a realtor for 10 years, and that was interesting. Yeah, it was a good thing I had that. A good thing I had that in my back pocket. I did pretty good now selling real estate, but then later on, the market was going bad, and a good friend of mine, Mike Luciano, was running the personnel manager at the Otis Mill, And I went to see him about who's coming and going as far as selling houses, you know, buying or selling houses. And he said, I'm getting ready to do some hiring in here. And I said, I know your background because we work together and stuff like that. Do you consider coming back in here? I said, oh boy, I don't know. Talked to the wife. She said, you got a kid going to college, benefits, you better jump. You better go on. So I did both. I did real estate and that. And that was going pretty good. Then I ended up leaving there and my old job come available and I went back up there. But when they went to 12-hour shifts, it was impossible to take care of real estate. You know, you couldn't meet appraisers and, you know, you just couldn't do it. There wasn't enough time in the day to do it. You work all night, go to bed, and have in your mind that you got to be calling a lawyer up, I got a closing schedule. Didn't work. So I dropped the real estate. So I don't want to see it decline anymore. It already is. I'd like to see that mill pick up somebody. There's a lot of good machinery in that mill. It'd be another company could come in and take that over. Because you can't build a pulp mill anymore anywhere. There's so many restrictions to build a pulp mill. That's what that's got. It's got 2 digesters in there, hardwood and softwood. That really is, you know, they depreciate everything, but it costs you way over $1 billion to replace that place up there. It really would. Because if somebody could come in and take that over and either change the different, you know, go into different types of paper or something, but that would be the key to the catalyst to get the whole, you know, the whole area back up again. I hate to see it go down. And well, Bucksport was another company, was another mill of this place, and there's nothing but a parking lot there. They're tearing it right down to be a parking lot. Yeah. They have one advantage, it's right on a river, and it's, you know, they can deep. They have they have tankers come right up in there. And Maine Maritime is going to be using part of that. The Maine Maritime Academy is using part of that too. Going to be using part of that. But you know, this will be a parking lot up here, unfortunately. Big. Then like the Otis Mill, that's history. That's done. They you know, they're demolishing it really. I went through there, I don't know, a couple of years ago. Well, that was a sad day. There's not much in there now. Yeah. I worked on everything in there. I knew what I was in. I knew 13 different jobs in there when I was in that Otis Mill. The Otis was running good at the time there, and I said, my job come up and I said, hey, should I stay here? I said, 100-year-old mill. I guess I got to go back. I got to go back. And that was interesting going back in there. But luckily, there was a couple of guys, a couple of replacement workers that I worked well with. They were actually doing my job. They refreshed me on my job, and I worked with them and stuff. And you know, I didn't like what they did crossing the picket line, but had to do what you had to do. But, yeah. Oh, yeah. Then what gentleman just passed away, Clayton Greeley. He just passed away. He was the first guy to go back after the strike. The place is full of replacement workers, and his job, he was able to go back. He was the first guy. I can't even imagine going back in there, not knowing anybody in there. Yeah. So it wasn't easy. It was an easy time. This town won't forget it. Because there's a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, there's still people that still remember the strike of 1921. Oh yeah, his father crossed that picket line, or they come from another place, and that's the way it is too. But you don't look forward by looking behind, you know what I mean? Yeah, that was yesterday. You know, today's another day. We got to look forward. But I think if somebody could take that mill over, that would be the catalyst to get things going. Outside of that, I don't see anything else coming in here. Well, a guy I worked with was the clerk, the guy that would take care of the schedule and stuff like that, had been involved in it. And I told him, I says, you know, when I get out, I'll give you a hand. Yeah. So I'm working hand in hand with him, and we need some young blood in there, because all the guys I'm working with, I got one guy, and he's very active, but his health is failing now. He's 96, just turned 96, and he's a sketch, this guy. He just got done working his wood up for next year. Just him and his wife just worked up 6 cord of wood, but he's got some health problems. But his wife says, every night we go to bed, I think this is gonna be it. Next morning he's up, showered up, out the door he goes, because he does a lot with the AMVETS and the VFW. And he runs all the military funerals. He's in charge of them, you know. And sometimes he's the chaplain for them. And I've seen some days he's done 3 funerals in a day. Go down to Augusta, do a couple here, went to Rumford. Yeah, 96. Yeah. And Jerry is the guy I took the, well, he's a so-called working under me now, but he just turned 86. Another guy's 89, Bob Shink, he's 89. Dickie Terrier's 80, 81, you know, yeah. Closest guy was two guys that are right around me, 69, 70 years old. And we got some women in there that are a little bit younger too, but I need some younger blood. It's actually, Franklin County is a big county, but it's to include Livermore and Livermore Falls because the school system is combined, right? So the Livermore kids are in that school, and I got a big group out of there. And the adults are adult programs, and they're mostly up in the Franklin County area. I got like 5 or 6 adult groups up there. Like we got to call up and find out who's gonna come. And like I just had a call yesterday there. Work First is an outfit up there, adult group, and they're sending 30 coming to the bowling thing there on the 15th. Yeah, and there's a nursing home down here, Harris House, and these people are there severely handicapped. You know, they're all in wheelchairs, and their aides are fantastic, and 4 of them will be coming up with their aides. Sometimes they have 6 of them. They're a phenomenal group of people, phenomenal, and we have a lot of other wheelchairs in different groups. And what we've been doing at dances, we started a couple of years ago. We noticed that the aides are there with them, and they want to dance. Right? They're in their wheelchairs, and the aides too, you know. So we got to dance just for the wheelchair people. They get out there and they get them moving around. They're smiling. Oh my God! There's one guy. He's got a smile on him a mile wide. Unbelievable. He just likes that movement. And they, you know, it wasn't much. It's something to see at bowling. We've designed a ramp, a rail system where these people in wheelchairs can bowl. It's just 2 pipes, 2 narrow pipes. They just go along like that and scoop down, and they can get right up with a wheelchair. And some that are able to physically, you know, fine. But the ones that can't, we line them right up and put their hand on it and kind of guide it. Boy, they light right up, boy. Because if the aid is really good, you can get a strike. And what we've done over the bowling alley is up in the Wilton Farmington line, Meadow Lanes. And we bought over the years rails that pop up. They're right on the edge. They pop up about that high. That will not allow a ball to go in the gutter. So they don't get any gutter balls. But a lot of these kids, these younger kids, they know how to play that. They play that side like bumper pool. Bing, bang, bang, pow. Oh, yeah. It's something to watch. And when they get a strike or a spare, everybody knows it. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's something to see. We take the place over. 16 alleys, we take it over. Yeah. Of course, the bowling alley guy's pretty happy too. Yeah. My bowling costs me it'll cost me about $400 between the bowling alley and feeding them. We feed them burgers and stuff like that. The dances, that's when we feed them pizzas and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's my life.
Great. Great stuff.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, working with the Special Olympics is very, very humbling, no matter where you go. Oh, yeah.